A young woman named Emily moves into a quiet suburban neighborhood. She quickly notices that her next-door neighbor, Mr. Thompson, never leaves his house. One day, she sees Mr. Thompson staring out of his window, looking directly at her. There's something unsettling about his gaze. That night, she hears strange noises coming from his house, like footsteps and whispers. She decides to investigate. Emily reaches for her phone to call someone, but the line goes dead. Emily gathers her courage and decides to knock on Mr. Thompson's door the next morning. To her surprise, he answers, looking frail but harmless. He invites her in, and as she steps inside, she notices the house is filled with old, dusty furniture and strange artifacts. They have a brief, awkward conversation, and Emily asks him about the noises from last night. Mr. Thompson's face changes, he seems nervous. Mr. Thompson suddenly asks Emily to leave, almost pushing her out the door. Disturbed by Mr. Thompson's behavior, Emily decides to investigate further. She starts asking around the neighborhood but no one seems to know much about him. One evening, Emily notices that Mr. Thompson has left his house, a rare occurrence. Seizing the opportunity, she sneaks into his backyard. Through a basement window, she spots a dim light and what looks like a hidden room. Her heart races as she contemplates breaking in. Emily hears footsteps approaching from inside the house and quickly hides. Emily narrowly avoids getting caught and rushes back home. That night, she can't sleep, her mind racing with thoughts of what could be in that room. The next day, she receives an anonymous note slipped under her door, "Stay away from him." Determined to find out more, Emily decides to return to Mr. Thompson's house after dark, this time with a plan. As she approaches the house, she sees a shadowy figure watching her from the upstairs window. Emily sneaks into Mr. Thompson's house and makes her way to the basement. She finds the door to the secret room slightly ajar. Inside, she discovers old photographs, all of young women who look eerily similar to her. Some of them are dated from decades ago. Suddenly, the basement door slams shut, and she hears Mr. Thompson's voice coming from behind her. Mr. Thompson says, "You shouldn't have come here, Emily." Emily, terrified, demands to know what's going on. Mr. Thompson starts to explain but suddenly stops, as if hearing something. Seizing the moment, Emily pushes past him and runs for the stairs. She can hear him calling after her, his voice frantic. She reaches the front door, only to find it locked. Desperately, she searches for another way out. The lights in the house flicker and go out, leaving Emily in complete darkness. In the dark, Emily fumbles her way back to the basement, hoping to find a tool to break open a window. She finds an old, dusty book with strange symbols on the cover. Flipping through it, she realizes it's filled with rituals and spells. The more she reads, the more she understands. Mr. Thompson is not who he seems, and the women in the photographs, they never left. Emily hears Mr. Thompson's footsteps coming down the stairs, getting closer and closer. Emily decides to confront Mr. Thompson with the book, demanding answers. He confesses that he's been performing dark rituals to stay alive for centuries. The women in the photographs were all sacrifices to prolong his life. Now, he needs Emily to complete the ritual. Just as Mr. Thompson raises his hand to perform the final spell, Emily remembers something she read in the book, a way to stop him. Emily grabs the book and begins to recite a counter-ritual, hoping it works before it's too late. As Emily recites the counter-ritual, Mr. Thompson starts to weaken. The house begins to shake, and the air fills with a strange energy. Mr. Thompson fights back, using his remaining strength to try and silence her. The photographs on the walls start to fall, revealing hidden passages. Emily feels herself getting weaker too, but she keeps going, knowing this is her only chance to survive. Mr. Thompson collapses to the floor, but as he does, a ghostly figure emerges from the shadows behind Emily. The ghostly figure is one of the women from the photographs. She helps Emily complete the ritual, and Mr. Thompson's body disintegrates into dust. The house stops shaking, and everything goes silent. The ghost thanks Emily for freeing her and the others trapped by Mr. Thompson. As dawn breaks, Emily walks out of the house, shaken but alive. She looks back one last time and sees the house crumbling, as if it never existed. Emily moves away from the neighborhood, but the experience leaves her changed forever. Sometimes, late at night, she swears she can still hear whispers in the dark. What do you think really happened to Mr. Thompson? Tell me in the comments below. And subscribe for more videos.